Interviews are really, really important. An interview is not a test of you, your skills, your education, your qualifications, anything like that. An interview is an interview test. So we need to prepare for it and we need to do a really good interview. The first thing I would say about interviews, it's a really good idea to set a positive intent. What I mean by this is we want to say the things that will sell us in the right way, that will show us as best as possible. We want to make sure that whatever happens, if we go into the interview and they ask us good questions, bad questions, mad questions, whatever happens, there's 5 or 6 things that we want to say about ourselves, key achievements, qualifications, skills. We want to make sure that we say these regardless. This is what I mean by intent. So whatever chance you get in an interview to get these into the conversation, make sure you get them in. So write down the 5 things from your intent that you want to say. Maybe it's your skills, maybe it's your qualifications, maybe it's key achievements, maybe it's why you're specifically suitable for this role. Write those down and make sure they're at the forefront of your mind when you go into the interview. The next thing we want to do is have good body language, good posture. We want to dress well, obviously, but we want to make sure that we sit and we act in a way that shows we have energy, that we're enthusiastic about the job, and that we're ready to work. Because it's not just what we say, it's not just our verbal signal, it's our non-verbal signals as well, which any interviewer will pick up on. So our physiology, our posture is really, really important. The next thing I think is language is really, really important. So it's essential that we use good language, that we describe what we've done well, and that we use positive vocabulary. I would even say to people, it's a good idea to have some keywords that you want to say when you go in. Enthusiastic, hardworking, looking for new opportunities, excited about this position. These type of keywords are going to come across really well and they're going to sound good to any employer. Now, even if you have to say something that's not very positive, I think it's good to say it in a positive way. For example, instead of saying something is difficult, it's better to say something is not easy. Instead of saying something is bad, I think it's better to say something is not good. Instead of saying something is a challenge, I think it's better, or instead of saying something is a difficulty, I think it's better to say it's a challenge. These are just a few simple tips that may help you sound a little bit better to the employer. Of course, they are my opinion, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Because the reality is, we only need to say a word and we force the other person to think about that word, to understand that, and when they do that, they then relate that word to us, especially if it's only the first time we've ever met. For example, if I say don't think about the color blue, initially you have to think about the color blue just so you can delete it from your mind. And I think the same is true for negative words as well. So please keep that in mind. There are a few simple tips for starting out going into interviews.